Hello and welcome to Tune In to Wellness Today. My name is Lisa Marie and I am the host of your show. I do hope you've been enjoying all the shows that you've seen in the past and that you are reaching out to those practitioners that will help you in your wellness journey. Today we're going to be looking at two main subjects. One is seniors in transition and one is domestic violence. My first guest is Sheilah Sable from Call Sheilah, your personal concierge. You might recall Sheilah from 2015. She was here discussing her concierge services and programs where she helps people do a myriad of work, coordinating chaos, helping people with groceries and laundry and all types of services. Well, Sheilah has since expanded her services and she's now working with senior citizens and helping them through a transitional stage. She is now a member of a National Association of Senior Managers. Welcome, Sheilah.
Hi, how are you?
Good, so great to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
I'm so happy. So Senior Moves, you have a Senior Moves program.
Yes.
Please tell the audience what that program is.
Sure. So, like you said, I joined this National Association of Senior Move Managers, which is a network of national folks doing this exact work, which basically entails families find themselves in transition with many, many things, and what we're seeing more and more of is many, many assisted livings, many senior communities and independent livings, and seniors need to transition to that from their homes. So I am somebody who oversees a lot, all of the logistics for that, and there are a lot of moving pieces. You have a situation where you're usually culling down somebody's life. They've been in their home for 30, 40, 50 years. They have many things to reduce down, either coordinate like the giving away of, making sure the children have what they want, and then sale of, or a donation of, or in some cases just the making it go away piece. And then of course there's the packing, and then the hiring of movers to take good care of the stuff that's actually going with the folks into the facility, and then the staging and the setting up. And part of what I offer is to evaluate the space that they're going into and come up with a floor plan, make sure that the pieces that they're taking with them will fit, and then we set it up for them, stage it, and make sure that they have everything that they need. So I just moved somebody, and he needed a different paper towel rack or a different mirror on the back of his door, and those types of things. So we facilitate all of that so that we can say that 2 weeks in, are they comfortable in there, or do we need to come back and do something different? And it's a really rewarding process, and getting to know families, and in particular getting to know seniors as they transition in this way. Yeah.
I would think, Sheilah, that a lot of people who are ready to make that transition, in whether it's senior housing or assisted living, have children and grandchildren that may live out of state.
Absolutely.
Or are still working, or even do you see in situations where maybe it's just too emotional for them to be involved? And I think personally of my mom is 94, still living in the home I grew up in since I was 4. I would think that in her time of transition, it would be emotional to put that house on the market.
Totally.
So someone like you would come in and help in that process, help people work through those emotions?
Absolutely. And I was very fortunate to do this for both of my parents, and it was extremely emotional. And I wish that I could have called Sheilah at the time, because sometimes you're just a little too close to something. And so it's easier for somebody else's parent and me than it was for me and my parents. I can guarantee you that I will be nicer to your mother than I was to my own.
I'm sure there's always that dynamic.
There's always, it's always fraught with something. And so this is a real, I know this is a show about wellness, and it really is an opportunity for me to explore what I've, my relationship with my own mom and parents, and kind of heal a little bit in that way. So I do bring something to the experience that is pretty extraordinary.
It's beautiful. Now, with some of the services that you offer, you mentioned a few, and I'm thinking that you probably help out with, with utilities, cutting off utilities, yes. Calling insurance organizations and changing policies if that's part of the process, address changes I'm speaking about. Sure. And do you handle it down to that level as well?
As a matter of fact, I just dropped off the cable box about 3 days ago, just to make sure that this first person was all set up, and he had his new phone number, and all was well. So yes, changed the magazine subscription addresses just to be on the safe side, and all kinds of high level insurance, and lower level magazine stuff.
How about getting in and hammering and hanging, and do you actually go into that new facility and help them with that piece as well?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the last one that I did, the facility offered to hang the pictures, but the gentleman wanted me to do it, so we did it together. And his kid, his adult son and wife were there as well. So it was like a family affair. It was really very sweet.
Very rewarding too,
Yeah,
I would think. Sheilah, how about the person, the senior who is not ready to transition out of their home? They are going, and I'll use my mother as an example, not that she's ready to do this, but use her as an example. So she's been in the house for 50 plus years now. She's staying in the house.
Right.
Thank goodness, we're really grateful and blessed that she has her health and able to do that. But what if someone like her wanted to start downsizing?
Sure.
Will you do this without transitioning? Will you actually come in and help someone with that downsize process?
Yes, I would do that, and I would bring somebody with me who is an occupational therapist who assess the house, has the credentials to assess the house. Does she need bars in the bathroom or a ramp for a particular doorway transition? I'm not somebody who does that, but I work with two different people who do that. So we would, definitely do the actual physical downsizing, and if there's a library, people need to downsize the books, and make sure that they're preparing for the inevitable, really. So happy to do that.
What are some of the other services under that big, broad, vast umbrella of services that you offer?
Absolutely anything from soup to nuts, really. I mean, I made a lot of suggestions to this. The last two clients needed some assistance with a new computer, right? Their eyes were kind of, playing tricks on them, and they had one of those computers that is almost not even friendly to us at this point, right? So, I was able to do some research and find something that AARP recommended that was a very large screen, quite lovely. It was an oversized tablet, and it's a really great piece of equipment for people who need a little bit extra assistance.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So without giving me actual numbers, do you have rate packages that you put together depending on the services that they're looking for?
Absolutely, and a package is a good way to look at it. It depends on what they're asking for. Some people don't necessarily want soup to nuts. Some people are going to require me to bring in some freelance or per diem folks that I work with, and in some cases it'll just be me, depending on the time frame. If it's a rush, and we need to get it done in a couple of days, that's different than if I can show up 3 or 4 hours a week for a couple of weeks. And so yeah, package. And I don't like to make quotes until I assess what's actually moving, if there's
individualize the program for the family or the person that you're working with. All right, why Sheilah? Why would I want to call you versus someone else?
Right, well, I kind of alluded to it a little bit. I mean, I've done it for my own parents. I did it for a friend of mine's parents, and now I've had numerous clients. But what I bring to it is a level of sensitivity and kindness, and we talked about this last time, kindness and compassion. I mean, they're really buzzy words, but they're buzzy words for a reason. They really, really do work, and I have an incredible sense of humor, and I'm very kind to my clients, and it's an opportunity for me to give back in a way that I didn't necessarily do with my parents. I was very efficient with my own parents, but I wasn't necessarily bringing all that kindness and compassion and sense of humor, because it was fraught with all kinds of things. And I will take care of your family member, grandparents, friends, and whatever it is. So,
what is one of the benefits, aside from that, that's a great benefit that you give to, or one of the benefits I'm thinking that you offer to the seniors and their families, is a sense of security?
And safety.
And safety.
Safety, yeah. Somebody said to me the other day, it's not just about trust with you, Sheilah. People feel safe when you're around. And so I definitely am grateful to hear that, because that is what I'm going for.
No, that's beautiful. And I touched on this a moment ago, and I just want to bring it out one more time, because I'm a bug about this. Will you help people seniors in particular, who get caught up on insurance policies, and you're trying to receive information on your insurance policy, and it's excuse my language, well, it's hell. for a lot of people to receive answers. Is that a service that you would take on yourself, as in helping them, you know, with figuring out their policies and what their rights are?
Right. I work with people who would advise me about whether or not, you know, I could do that. I am, like we talked about last time, I am an advocate. So I am great on the phone and, you know, drilling down into the solution and so forth. But sometimes there's legal issues that you want to be mindful of. There's HIPAA.
There's HIPAA and things of that nature.
Yeah. So, you know, but I have a lot of, you know, people who are, you know, fan my flame, and they're all experts, and bring that into the situation as well.
Anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
This is so great for me. I love talking to you. I think you're fantastic, and I really appreciate you having me here.
Thank you. I love what you do. I think it's amazing. I love having you here, and thank you for expanding your services to help the seniors. I mean, I just can't think of another venue that's more important right now for the senior population. So thank you.
Thank you.
If you are a senior or you know someone who could use Sheilah's help, I really do encourage you to reach out to Sheilah at callsheilah.com. Take a look at her website, see what she has to offer, reach out to her and have a very non-threatening conversation. She will let you know what she can do for you or for your loved one. Thank you. Thank you, Sheilah.
Thank you.
I certainly do hope you enjoyed listening to Sheilah and hearing what she has to offer for our seniors. My next guest is Maggie Frank. Maggie Frank is the Executive Director at Wellspring in Saratoga Springs. She has been with Wellspring for 14 years, but has given 30 years of her life working with those people in vulnerable situations. For example, those with HIV/AIDS, homeless people, domestic violence, those who are suffering from sexual assault, as well as those suffering with mental illnesses. She currently sits on the board of the Homeless Alliance, Saratoga North County Homeless Alliance. Is that correct, Maggie? Did I say that right?
Yep. Yeah, Saratoga North Country, yeah.
North Country. Welcome.
Hello, pleased to be here today.
I'm so glad to have you here. Today we're going to speak about Wellspring and the domestic violence program that Wellspring offers.
Yes.
And before we speak, Maggie, about the services that you offer at Wellspring, I would hope that you will educate the audience on that big domestic violence umbrella and all that comes under that. So we know about the physical abuse. I think a lot of people are not aware of that psychological abuse. So I'd like you to talk on that. And is there relationship abuse comes under that as well?
Yep.
So if you would kind of talk about all three of those and what they are first.
Okay. I think when people think about domestic violence, the first thing they think about is physical abuse. That's what comes to mind most. And that is certainly something that we see. And yet I think that is a stumbling point for many people, because they think if there's not physical abuse, that domestic violence doesn't exist. And in fact, there are many highly abusive relationships where physical abuse doesn't happen or only happens occasionally. Some other types of control are psychological abuse. So that is threats, intimidation, having someone who always feels like they're walking on eggshells because they don't know what their partner is going to do. Also, economic abuse. Abusers will often control the finances. Someone may be working but not have access to their paycheck. The abuser may put all of the debts in their partner's name and all of the assets in their own name. And what that can do is, if someone does not have their own financial independence, that can keep someone trapped in a relationship. And we often see that with parents who have children. They're afraid if they left the abuse that they couldn't put food on the table or roof over their head and pay for basic daily needs and healthcare needs for their family if they were to leave. There's sexual abuse. Partners can be sexually intimidating, can be sexually violating, and that's something people don't think about in a domestic violence situation. There's also emotional control, just making someone feel less than, eroding their self-esteem, controlling their behaviors. All kinds of domestic violence are really about a fundamental issue of power and control. And they affect not only the identified partner, but also the children in the family and also the pets, anyone who is in that family unit.
That psychological, thank you, that psychological control could be very vast within itself. As you mentioned, name calling as an example, right? Name calling, putting people down, humiliation.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Something called gaslighting or ambient abuse, where they're tricking people, right?
Yes.
Constantly tricking people, so that people start questioning themselves.
Start questioning the only reality of what they're seeing every day. Yeah, someone saying, that's not true, that's not what happened.
And that's very severe, regardless of the fact that it's not physical abuse. That is a severe abuse within itself.
Yes.
You know, emotional abusive within itself. So thank you for defining that.
Sure. And as you talked about that also, I think one thing abusers do is they will do social control, social isolation. And so what you're talking about is when the only word you're hearing is from your abusive partner, you're not getting feedback from friends, from family members, etc. So socially isolating someone is fundamental to that also.
And that is all under that control umbrella, power and control. That is interesting.
Yes.
And scary at the same time. So you have a whole host of services that you offer, and you touched on helping people move out of these situations that are abusive, but they're fearful of doing that because how can I feed myself or my children, or can I take my pets with me if I move out of this environment? And so tell us what Wellspring offers.
Okay. Wellspring offers whatever help you need. We're going to start right there. We have a full range of crisis services as well as support services. And I think many people don't think of coming to an agency like ours until they are either in a crisis situation or at that point you talked about when they're ready to leave. And we're absolutely there. So we have a 24-hour hotline, we have an emergency shelter, we provide legal advocacy, we have a housing program that can help people. We can help when they are at that state, and yet I also want to reach out to people and say, you can come to us before then. And that's called early intervention. So if you are in a situation where this relationship is just not feeling healthy and you're not sure, it's okay to call us, to call our hotline or to call our office and say, this is what's happening and I'm not sure how this feels. And that's a wonderful time to come, because what can happen then is with that assistance, you don't get to the point where you're trapped in a situation, right, and hopefully you can avoid ever being in that crisis situation. And that's not available just to the person who's in the situation, but also our services are totally free and confidential, and they're available to anyone who has someone in their life who's affected by domestic violence or sexual assault. So that can be a mother, a father, a friend, an employer who says, how do I help this person?
You touched on something I was going to ask you, and that was free services. So anyone can reach out and receive these services. Okay, that's fabulous.
Yes.
And the second thing that you brought up was really a wonderful point, is that if I were to see someone who I felt might be abused, how do but they're not ready to go, to reach out to Wellspring. They're not ready, they're fearful, or whatever is keeping them back. Sometimes I think people feel disloyal to the abuser in some ways. How can I help that person? Could I come speak with you and you would give me tools?
Absolutely.
And conversation that I could have with that person as an example? Okay.
Absolutely. And also it can be very frustrating. Say you had a family member who's in an abusive relationship and you are worried about them. And you've said to them, look, I'm really worried about you. This is what I'm seeing. I'm concerned, and here's places you can reach out to, and they're not ready. And there might be very good reasons why they're not. But that can be frustrating for you. It can also be affecting your life. Maybe you're worried that the abuser might be targeting you. You're feeling isolated from your loved one. And that can get you in a position where you're so worried about the person you care about, and you're angry. Or you're wanting to control the situation. You're wanting to impose decisions on them. So sometimes coming and talking to one of our advocates can help to explain how you can manage that, how you can manage your safety, but how you can also be a support to the person while letting them make their choices.
Yeah. So your programs are very individualized, I surmise, based on what that person's need is.
Absolutely.
Okay. Tell me some of the other benefits of the program.
Okay. I think one of the things is to help people to realize what all of their options are. Very often people will say, well, I couldn't do that because this will affect my child custody, or I've heard this information out there in the world, but they might only be getting a snippet. They might have heard what happened in one person's situation, but that's not relative to them. So even if someone is not at a point of wanting to leave, to thinking about first why I am staying in this relationship. Is it because I don't have the financial means to support my family? Or is it because I really want to try, I love my partner, and I love this person who's either called mom or dad to my children, and we want to try to work it out? Those are different strategies, or those are different reasons, and have different ways of thinking about how you prepare. But then if they're coming with some misinformation, like the courts would take my children away, or I'm afraid that this would happen or that would happen, we can help them to understand what their resources are and the full range of options.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful that you're doing that. Now, do you have men in that situation, men that are actually abused as
Absolutely.
well?
Yep.
Okay.
Domestic violence affects, well, I think it disproportionately affects females, absolutely, but it affects all people in all types of relationships. Men, women, in same-sex relationships, in heterosexual relationships. Affects teenagers who are in dating violence relationships, and elders. Elders experience elder abuse from their partners or from other family members. So unfortunately, abuse affects the full range of human relationships and conditions that we have.
Maggie, tell us where, without getting too deep, but where that abuse comes from. What's that driving force of someone being abusive to another person?
We talked about it before in 2 words: power and control.
Power and control.
Yes, and that is someone is exerting influence over someone else and doing behaviors to control their life.
Okay. Does Wellspring have help for that person, for the abuser, to help them become healthy emotionally, mentally, so they do not need to feel they have to have that power?
We do not. In our agency, we assist victims only and what's called secondary victims. That's people I talked about who have someone in their life. If someone is wanting to look at their own actions and make changes, we can refer them to services that can support them.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. What else would you like to share with the public?
I think one of the things that with domestic violence in particular recently is it has been very much in the forefront of the news and our consciousness in the last few years. And for many years we looked at the victim as the way to end relationship abuse. Why don't they leave? Well, sometimes even in leaving, someone is still at danger and can still be abused. And I think what we're coming to is a change in consciousness and realizing that this is on all of us.
Yes.
It is on us to change society, to speak up when we see someone doing something abusive, to not look the other way, and to work together. And at Wellspring, we have ways that volunteers can help us, that we can work with you in bringing this message, bringing it to your workplace, bringing it to your community group, your faith organization, because the only way to end relationship and sexual abuse is to all work together on that.
Oh, that is beautiful. And thank you for bringing that up, because I think there was a time, an era and time that we made the victim the fault person.
Yes.
You know, and yet without understanding what he or she is going through and the trauma, that emotional trauma that they're going through, we cannot put the blame on the victim.
That's right.
Absolutely not. So thank you so very much. Thank you for the work you do. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Really beautiful what you and your agency does, and I greatly appreciate you being here, explaining that to the public.
And thank you for helping us to get the word out, because together we can end this.
Together we can end this, and we will end this. I'd like to ask you that if you are suffering from domestic violence in any way possible, physical, psychological, financial abuse, that you please reach out to Wellspring in Saratoga Springs. If you know someone, or you think even that someone is being abused in any one of those areas or in other areas, or even if you know of animal abuse within a household, one often goes hand in hand. I'd really like you to reach out to Wellspring, ask for Maggie Frank, and she'll help you and support you in every way she can possibly do so. If you would like more information about Wellspring, go online to wellspringcares.org. Thank you. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you very much.
I hope you do reach out to Maggie Frank or Sheilah Sable if their services are something that you could utilize in your life. Let me tell you just a little bit about me. I, Lisa Marie, was a corporate executive in healthcare for 25 years before I started my company, Inspiring Wellness Solutions, now in business for 3.5 years. My passion is to help you be healthy and well, and to do so by natural means. So I really do love to help people find the holistic way to wellness. So that takes a look at you healing physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in any way that is important to you. So I encourage you to reach out to me, Lisa Marie, with any questions you have. So for example, clients come to me with anxiety, depression. Sometimes they're in a suicidal state of mind. They come to me and I help them heal from the inside out. Some people come strictly for weight loss and I help them with nutrition education. I studied over 100 dietary theories. I'm very educated in nutrition, health, and wellness. Some people come to have a balance in their life, or to have help in their relationships. I help with couples counseling or individual counseling. What I do, and what I'd like you to do, is go online to inspiringwellnesssolutions.com, take a look at all that we offer, reach out to me for a 30-minute consultation to see how I can help you be healthy and well. I wanted to add that we have now expanded to massage therapy, aromatherapy, as well as you know, we have Reiki and counseling and health and wellness nutrition education. I teach classes as well. So if you're looking for someone to come in and speak to your office, to your corporate office, to a local small business office, to your church, I do all of that as well. So again, reach out to me. Be glad to help you in any way I can. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and be alive. It's great to have you. Bye-bye now.